The linguistic landscape of the Punjab region is a tapestry of diverse tongues, each with its own unique history and cultural significance. Today, we delve into the complex world of Dogri, Hindko, Pahari, Pothohari, and Seraiki, exploring their relationship with Punjabi and their current status as either dialects or independent languages. To understand the current linguistic situation, we must first look at the historical context. Punjabi, an Indo-Aryan language, has been spoken in the Punjab region for centuries. Over time, various dialects emerge due to geographical, cultural, and political factors. These dialects have evolved alongside Punjabi, sometimes diverging significantly from the standard form. Let us begin our exploration with Dogri. Traditionally considered a dialect of Punjabi, Dogri is spoken primarily in the Jammu region of Jammu and Kashmir, as well as parts of Himachal Pradesh and northern Punjab. Dogri has a rich literary tradition dating back to the 17th century. In 2003, it gained recognition as an official language of India, which has led many to consider it an independent language, rather than a dialect of Punjabi. Dogri shares many features with Punjabi, including a similar phonological system and vocabulary. However, it has developed its own distinct grammatical structures and has been influenced by neighboring languages such as Kashmiri and Hindi. The question of whether Dogri is a dialect or a separate language is complex, as the line between dialect and language is often blurred by political and cultural factors. Moving on to Hindko, we find another linguistic variety that has been traditionally classified as a dialect of Punjabi. Hindko is spoken in parts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Punjab provinces in Pakistan, as well as by some communities in India. The name Hindko itself means the language of India, distinguishing it from Pashto, the dominant language in much of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Hindko shares many similarities with Punjabi in terms of vocabulary and grammar. However, it has been influenced by other languages in the region, particularly Pashto. Some linguists argue that Hindko is closer to Seraiki than to standard Punjabi. The status of Hindko as a dialect or language is debated, with some advocating for its recognition as a separate language based on its distinct features and the identity of its speakers. Next, we turn our attention to Pahari, a term that actually encompasses a group of dialects or languages spoken in the lower Himalayas. The Pahari varieties are spread across northern Pakistan, India, and Nepal. In the context of Punjabi, we are primarily concerned with the Western Pahari languages spoken in Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, and parts of Pakistan-administered Kashmir. The classification of Pahari varieties is particularly complex. Some linguists consider them dialects of Punjabi, while others argue that they form a distinct language group. The Pahari varieties show significant diversity, with some being more closely related to Punjabi and others showing greater affinity to other Indo-Aryan languages. The geographical isolation of many Pahari-speaking communities has contributed to the development of unique linguistic features. Pothohari, also known as Pothohari, is spoken in the Pothohar Plateau region of northern Punjab, Pakistan, and in some parts of Azad Kashmir. It is closely related to Punjabi and is often considered a dialect of it. However, some speakers of Pothohari assert a distinct linguistic identity. Pothohari shares many features with standard Punjabi, but has some unique characteristics in terms of vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. The debate over its status as a dialect or language is ongoing, with socio-linguistic factors playing a significant role in how it is perceived and classified. Lastly, we come to Seraiki, perhaps the most contentious case in terms of its relationship to Punjabi. Seraiki is spoken in southern Punjab, Pakistan, and has a significant number of speakers. Historically, it was considered a dialect of Punjabi. But in recent decades, there has been a strong movement to recognize Seraiki as a separate language. Seraiki shares many features with Punjabi, but also has distinct characteristics. It has a rich literary tradition and is used in various media. The push for Seraiki language recognition is closely tied to regional identity and political aspirations, highlighting the complex interplay between linguistic, cultural, and political factors in language classification. Now that we have examined each of these linguistic varieties, let us consider the broader question. Are Dogri, Hindko, Pahari, Pothohari, and Seraiki still dialects of Punjabi? Or have they become independent languages? To answer this question, we must first understand that the distinction between a dialect and a language is not always clear-cut. Linguists often say that a language is a dialect with an army and navy, highlighting the political nature of language classification. From a purely linguistic perspective, the difference between a dialect and a language is often a matter of degree rather than a clear demarcation. Several factors are considered when determining whether a linguistic variety is a dialect or a separate language. These include mutual intelligibility, structural differences, literary tradition, speaker identity, and official recognition. Mutual intelligibility refers to the degree to which speakers of different varieties can understand each other. If speakers can easily understand one another, their speech forms are more likely to be considered dialects of the same language. However, mutual intelligibility exists on a spectrum, and it can be asymmetrical, with speakers of one variety understanding another better than vice versa. In the case of the varieties we have discussed, mutual intelligibility with standard Punjabi varies. Pothohari and Hindko are generally more mutually intelligible with Punjabi, while Seraiki and Dogri may present more challenges for Punjabi speakers. The Pahari varieties show a range of intelligibility depending on the specific variety and its proximity to Punjabi-speaking areas. Structural differences in phonology, morphology, and syntax are also important considerations. While all the varieties we have discussed share features with Punjabi, they also have unique characteristics. Dogri and Seraiki, in particular, have developed distinct grammatical features that set them apart from standard Punjabi. Literary tradition plays a significant role in language status. A rich literary heritage can bolster claims for language status, as it demonstrates the variety's capacity for expression across various genres and domains. Dogri and Seraiki, for instance, have substantial literary traditions that support arguments for their recognition as separate languages. Speaker identity is a crucial sociolinguistic factor. If speakers of a variety consider their speech form to be a distinct language and have a separate ethnic or cultural identity associated with it, this can influence its classification. This is particularly relevant in the cases of Seraiki and Dogri, where strong movements for linguistic recognition are tied to regional and cultural identities. Official recognition by governments or international bodies can also impact variety status. Dogri's inclusion as an official language of India in 2003 has strengthened its position as a separate language. Similarly, advocacy for official recognition of Seraiki in Pakistan has intensified debates about its status. The political and cultural implications of language classification cannot be overstated. Recognition of a variety as a separate language can lead to increased resources for its preservation and development, including its use in education and media. It can also support claims for political autonomy or representation, as seen in the case of the Seraiki movement in Pakistan. However, classification as a separate language can also lead to fragmentation and potentially reduce the overall influence of a larger linguistic community. Some argue that recognizing varieties like Seraiki as separate languages could weaken the position of Punjabi as a whole. From a linguistic perspective, it is important to note that these varieties exist on a dialect continuum. This means that there is a gradual transition from one variety to another with no clear boundaries. This continuum complicates efforts to draw definitive lines between languages and dialects. The future outlook for these languages or dialects is uncertain and will likely be shaped by a combination of linguistic evolution, cultural movements, and political decisions. As global communication increases, there may be pressure towards linguistic standardization. Conversely, there is also a growing awareness of the importance of linguistic diversity and efforts to preserve and promote minority languages. In conclusion, the question of whether Dogri, Hindko, Pahari, Pothohari, and Seraiki are dialects of Punjabi or independent languages does not have a simple answer. While traditionally considered dialects, some of these varieties, particularly Dogri and Seraiki, have made significant strides towards recognition as separate languages. Others, like Pothohari and Hindko, remain more closely associated with Punjabi but have distinct identities. The classification of these varieties is a complex issue involving linguistic, social, cultural, and political factors. It is a dynamic situation that may continue to evolve. What is clear is that each of these linguistic varieties represents a rich cultural heritage and plays an important role in the identities of its speakers. As we navigate these complex linguistic landscapes, it is crucial to approach the topic with nuance and respect for the diverse perspectives involved. Whether classified as dialects or languages, these varieties contribute to the rich tapestry of human expression and deserve recognition, study, and preservation. The ongoing debates surrounding these linguistic varieties highlight the fluid nature of language and the complex interplay between linguistic evolution and human society. As research continues and socio-political situations evolve, our understanding of these languages and their relationships to each other and to Punjabi will undoubtedly deepen, contributing to our broader knowledge of linguistic diversity and language change.